Real YouTubers talk about new items coming in Crown Tundra. This is going to change the game. Hello, it's me, guy who sits in chair. And today we're going to be talking about something very interesting, in my opinion. Which is, so yesterday there was a trailer for Crown Tundra, right? Didn't reveal that much new information in terms of the content, but there was one little thing that they threw in there at during the trailer that's going to have an enormous impact. So, I'm talking, of course, about the ability to change any Pokemon's ability to its hidden ability. Now, on paper, this might seem pretty straightforward, and honestly, even myself, like, I didn't really think it through too much when I first saw it, and so I kind of overlooked it myself. Because in theory, this is just one of the final tools to let you basically make any Pokemon what it needs to be, right? Meaning you can catch a Pokemon in the wild, and then in Sun and Moon they added bottle caps, allowing you to artificially raise a Pokemon's Ivy, which is a big deal because breeding for Ivies is difficult. They've added the ability capsule, which let you change between a Pokemon's two regular abilities. In Sword and Shield they added mints, which allows you to change the nature. And that's a lot of what you can do with a Pokemon, right? However, one of the big things that we were missing was the ability to change a Pokemon's ability to its hidden ability. For those of you who don't know, a Pokemon has 1 to 2 regular abilities, and then most Pokemon will have a unique second or third hidden ability. And these hidden abilities can only be accessed in certain ways. So even if a Pokemon is in the game, there's no guarantee that it has access to its hidden ability. And in fact, many Pokemon were given hidden abilities that would probably have changed how good they were, but were never released to this day. And so what the hidden ability capsule, or whatever it's called, is, I'll read through what they actually said about it, because I haven't looked at this page yet. This is designs, etc., etc., but here's some features. Wait, is this, why is this Isle of Armor? Oh, Crown Tundra, okay. Galarian Star, the ability patch, okay. So in the Crown Tundra, you may get new items called ability patches. They're hard to come by, but worth the effort. If you use one on a Pokemon, its ability will change to its species' hidden ability, if it has one. With an ability patch and the helping of Max Soup, you can bring out the hidden ability of the first partner Pokemon you chose at the beginning of Pokemon Sword or Shield, and give it the capability to Gigantamax as well. Now, that's another thing they added, is Max Soup, which allows any Pokemon to transform into its Gigantamax form. Now, here's where things get interesting. This ability patch, again, at first, it probably just seems like a way to make Pokemon viable, right? They explicitly mentioned here that your starter Pokemon that you caught at the beginning of the game can now be used competitively if you so choose, because you could change its ability to hidden ability. None of the starters really prefer their original ability, maybe Inteleon, but the other two drastically improved how good they were once their hidden abilities were released. So, so what that means effectively, or the way that this was presented was hey, now you can make any Pokemon viable. However, or any Pokemon you catch in the wild, or any Pokemon you have specific attachment to, or any Pokemon from past games, you can now make it competitively viable. You can even overwrite Pokemon, you can make Pokemon from past games current gen legal. Anyway, that makes it seem like that's what the intention was. However, there is a pretty drastic side effect. Certain Pokemon do not have access to their hidden abilities right now, and some of these Pokemon are Pokemon that would have enormous impacts if they get it, or maybe I should say when they get it. So let's take a look at one of them, Dracovish, right? Drakovish's hidden ability, you can see here, is not available. It's Sand Rush. Basically, this means that it has double speed in the sand. Why is that relevant? Well, now this ability, which would have pretty drastically changed Drakovish's viability, in my opinion, you trade 50% power in Fish's Rend for double speed. So this basically makes Choice Scarf variants pretty much significantly worse on sand teams. But now you are able to actually outspeed Dragapult, right? This makes Life Orb Dracovish somewhat more viable in a Dragapult metagame if you have a way around Togekiss, because you could actually Dynamax your Dracovish now because you can outspeed Dragapult, or even beyond that you can just Fishious Rend Dragapult. You can run Choice Band Fishious Rend. You do lose a lot of power for dropping Strong Jaw, but you get access to Sand Rush, which is a huge deal for a Pokemon like Dracovish, which is just barely too slow to really maximally utilize Choice Scarf. So Pokemon like Dracovish benefits immensely, in my opinion, from its hidden ability. But that's not all. There's a number of Pokemon that significantly increase their viability with this change. So one Pokemon, we actually can't look at it because it's not in the game. So we're going to go back to Generation 7 and take a look at Tornadus. So Tornadus, typically, it kind of changes, I would say it generally is considered to be the worst of the three genies. Landorus T is definitely the best. Tornadus varies. Like, Thundurus dominated VGC metagames for years, but fell off in Generation 7, in large part because of the changes due to Thunder Wave, to Swagger, and to Prankster not working on Dark types, and to Electric types being immune to Thunder Wave. There were a number of nerfs to Thundurus. So I guess in Generation 7, Tornadus is better, but it typically was a pretty one-dimensional Pokemon, I would say. It normally would run Tailwind, Protect, some kind of flying move, and then Taunt, and it would basically just be a Prankster Tailwind bot. It wasn't that it was bad, but it was one-dimensional. You really couldn't use it in that many ways. It saw a decent amount of play in 2019, which was a restricted metagame. People would play it with Groudon and Xerneas just to get like really fast speed control. Tornadus gets 2 immense buffs this generation. One with Prankster, being obvious, not with Prankster, but one with the changes to speed. Basically, having Prankster Tailwind, we've already seen is like incredibly broken. And Tornadus is another Prankster Tailwind user, along with Whimsicott and Talonflame on turn 1 most of the time. So, yeah. So for that reason, Tornadus is I would say it's a pretty powerful Pokemon already, thanks to the Prankster buffs, but it actually gets even stronger. So, this might be a little confusing to read for those of you who aren't familiar, but basically, it's Tornadus T has, which is one of my favorite Pokemon, has Regenerator, but Tornadus I gets Defiant, but it hasn't been VGC legal in a while. I heard, like, people talking, I think at some point people were talking about the gene potentially becoming legal, and there was talk of pairing this with Tapu Fini. But with Tornadus I, what you can do with Defiant is you can pair it with, maybe a seed, like Tapu Fini, Tornadus I, and then you can actually run Defiant and make it so that Defiant and Competitive are both phenomenal abilities in competitive Pokemon. In competitive VGC, for the reason that Intimidate is very popular, and now Max moves that drop stats are also very popular. So, Tornadus with Defiant is actually a pretty scary Pokemon, and when you consider that it has Tailwind already, like, you can run basically a mixed support and offense Tornadus, where it's a physical attacker that you can't intimidate, basically. You can burn it, but you can't intimidate it, and that makes it very scary. And if you consider that it can Dynamax as well, you can run, typically the move is Acrobatics, which isn't a super powerful max move, but you can run Superpower, you can run Acrobatics. Like, we don't know exact move pool because this is past generation, so yeah. But a Pokemon like Tornadus is another Pokemon that benefits immensely. Another Pokemon I want to talk about is Zapdos. I don't remember if this thing was VGC legal ever. I know it was illegal at some point in singles, but I just can't remember if we were allowed to use static. I don't think we were, though. But Zapdos normally runs pressure. Now, I know singles players are fond of pressure, but in VGC, it's typically, I wouldn't say a useless ability. I would say it's not a completely useless ability because it does tell you the speeds of Pokemon. If multiple abilities would activate in the first turn, they activate in order of speed, and so it's not totally useless because it does give you information sometimes. But Static is a really, really powerful ability. The chance to paralyze, like a 30% chance to paralyze every time you get hit with a contact move, is pretty powerful, in my opinion. And like, given how bad it is to get paralyzed, especially in VGC, it's a pretty good ability. Now, Zapdos doesn't need pressure. You're not PP stalling anybody. You're very rarely going to run your opponents out of PP. And Static, it's basically like, this is an enormous buff for Pokemon like Zapdos. So, I've listed 3 Pokemon here that I think are going to be. I'm not saying they're going to be super metagame. Like, I'm not saying they're going to be like automatically incredible. However, what I am saying is that they get buffed significantly, and I do think that Zapdos has a pretty good chance of being really strong. Though it was like, Tapu Koko coming back might invalidate it a little bit. And I think Tornadus also has a pretty good chance of being strong. I think Tornadus got a lot of buffs this generation. So, I'm pretty interested to see how the metagame shapes up, assuming we're allowed to use legendary Pokemon. I guess the last Pokemon worth talking about are, like, some Pokemon are, sometimes they're legal, sometimes they're not, but yeah, like Pokemon like Ho, for example, with their hidden ability. This was legal at some point in 2019, but it wasn't legal in 2016, if I recall, or maybe we just didn't use Ho. Ho and Lugia are also Pokemon that, like, basically, whenever a generation changes, you can never be sure that, old, difficult to come by, like, especially if they were event only, which I believe Ho and Lugia were. Like, I think they were event you had to go to an event to get, like, hidden ability. But yeah, like, you can never be sure if your Pokemon will have access to their hidden ability. So this changes, like, having multi-scale Lugia and Regenerator Ho off the bat might make them more viable in the next time we have Uber metagame. Especially because, as far as I know, Blue and Red Orb aren't in the game right now, which will change things a lot, but yeah. And yeah, like, also, sometimes Pokemon have hidden abilities that are so broken that, like, they're changed. Like, Zapdos used to have. Actually, let's go back to Zapdos, because I think this is correct. I think in Generation 5. I think it had Lightning Rod. Yeah, so actually, Zapdos. So here's a great example of why hidden abilities are so important. Zapdos actually. In Generation 5, its hidden ability was Lightning Rod. It was never released because, well, for obvious reasons, it was never released. But, yeah, it had the potential to be, like, if they had released Lightning Rod Zapdos, it would have been problematic for everybody else, to say the least. It would have been extremely problematic. So this is, like, sometimes the hidden abilities are so good that, like, they never get released. And another example of the other Pokemon, man, Gen 5 takes me back. Where is it? So Chandelure, they gave Shadow Tag to back in Generation 5. Yeah. So, yeah, like, these two Pokemon have had hidden abilities that were so broken that they were never released and they were changed. Chandelure now gets Infiltrator. If we were to go to Generation 8, you can see that Chandelure's hidden ability is now Infiltrator because those two abilities always stick out to me because they would have dominated formats if they had been legal, I think. A Lightning Rod Zapdos and, yeah, Shadow Tag Chandelure, like, that they would have dominated. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that had they been legal, they would have their viability would have skyrocketed. And these are good Pokemon. Like, Chandelure less so than Zapdos, but these are Pokemon that have been present throughout a lot of VGC history. So, yeah, like, yeah, it's pretty interesting to think if we had access to this ability patch earlier, hidden ability patch earlier, how the entire history of Pokemon, at least VGC competitive Pokemon, would have changed. So, all I'm saying is that there's probably cases like these, like the Chandelure and like the Zapdos, maybe not to the same extent that it's broken, but or not that it's as broken, but a lot of Pokemon with access to a lot of Pokemon that don't currently have access to their hidden ability change drastically when you give them that. So I personally am really interested to see how things shape up from here. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Expect a lot more content of discussion on the Crown Tundra in the coming days. I have a lot I could say about it, so I'm going to say it. But yeah, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a like and also hit the like button, and also hit the like button only an odd number of times, though, because if you hit it an even number of times, nothing happens. So, anyway, goodbye.